Okay, serious question. If countries can literally print money, why don't they just print more and make us all rich? Simple, right? Well, not exactly. The truth is, printing money without control is the fastest way to destroy an economy, and I will show you how psychology, history, and human behavior prove it. I am your host, and today we're going deep into the psychological impacts of something we hear about often, but have you ever stopped to think about it? How does printing money make us poorer? Now, printing money feels like the easiest cheat code ever. Bills come from a machine, so why not just print more? Imagine, no more poverty, everyone's rich. When everyone has more money, people feel richer, so they start buying more stuff. And guess what? Prices skyrocket. Suddenly that $2 burger costs $20. You're not richer, the money is just worth less. This is called inflation, and it messes with our brains big time. Now let's get a little crazy. What would happen if we turned the money printer up to 11 and just kept pumping out more and more bills? Well, first things first, your wallet would get heavier pretty quickly, but after a while, something strange would happen. You see, every day you make decisions based on how much something costs. If that $20 burger suddenly became a $2 one, you'd probably eat there twice as much. Same goes for everything else. People would buy way more stuff. So businesses would have to charge more to make the same amount of money. Think about it. If you could buy 10 apples for $20 today, tomorrow you might need to spend $40 for the same thing. So each apple effectively costs double. In economics terms, the price level doubles. This also means that your $20 now buys half as much. Basically, half of your money's purchasing power disappeared. But hold on. You might say, I'll just hold on to my cash then and not spend it. Good idea. Except here's where the psychology of money comes in. People hate when prices rise faster than their income. It creates panic. Businesses raise prices more, workers demand higher pay, governments panic too. It's a vicious cycle, and once people expect prices to rise, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Printing money triggers that spiral. To see how this really works, let's turn to history for some lessons. Ever heard of Zimbabwe in the early 2000s? Yeah, it's a country, not just a local game reserve. Anyway, Zimbabwe printed insane amounts of money. At one point, they had to carry around wheelbarrows of cash just to buy bread. Seriously, wheelbarrows. Their currency was basically worthless. Let me repeat that. They made it legal to print a $100 trillion bill. Do you know how much that's worth? Pretty much nothing. Their inflation rate hit 231 million%. That's a lot of zeros. People couldn't even count them anymore. At that point, it wasn't even funny. People used stacks of cash as doormats and burned it for warmth, all because they printed too much of it. Now you might be thinking, that's ancient history. Things haven't changed much since then. Nope. Remember Germany after World War I? They also printed loads of cash to pay off their war debts. Result? Hyperinflation. People could carry around wheelbarrows of German marks in their wallets and still be broke. It was so bad that people started burning cash for heat instead of buying firewood. Remember the pizza delivery guy who said his oven was broken and he needed a new one? Yeah, me too. Now you're probably thinking, that's ancient history. Things haven't changed much since then. Nope. Remember the 2008 global financial crisis? The US government printed a ton of money to save banks and the economy. And in 2020, they did it again with the whole pandemic situation. Now, listen, I'm not saying that was wrong. These actions helped stop the total collapse of the world economy. But it's a good example of how governments use this kind of thing as a last resort. And they do it very carefully because too much inflation can mess things up a lot. In fact, these actions are part of what economists call quantitative easing. where central banks create new money to buy assets like government bonds and mortgage-backed securities. This pumps money into the economy to keep things running smoothly. But here's the catch: it's like injecting medicine into your body. Too little and it's useless, too much and it's deadly. And this is done by adjusting interest rates and other economic policies. That way they can control how much money is printed. It's a balancing act to keep the economy stable and growing without causing crazy inflation. And that's the key to the whole story. As long as there is scarcity, money works. But the moment it becomes unlimited, everything changes. See, psychologically, we assign value to things based on their scarcity. When money becomes super abundant, we lose faith in its value. Kind of like if your favorite sneakers suddenly became free for everyone, they wouldn't be cool anymore, would they? Same with money. In fact, let me share a little secret with you. During the Great Depression in the 1930s, people were so desperate that they traded collectible items like baseball cards and stamps for food. But here's where it gets interesting. When the economy improved, those same people stopped using collectibles for food and started using cash. Why? Because cash had regained its value. It was no longer backed by baseball cards or stamps. It was backed by the strength and stability of the economy. So yeah, money only works because we believe it's scarce. The second people realize it's unlimited, the belief breaks and the system collapses. Now you might be thinking, well, what's the solution? How do we keep printing money and avoid all this chaos? Well, there isn't an easy answer. It requires careful management of inflation, maintaining public trust and finding ways to boost the economy without flooding it with cash. It's like walking a tightrope. If you move too much, you fall off. And this is why many countries are trying to move towards digital currencies. That way, they can control the supply even better. But that's a topic for another video. So to wrap things up, no, we can't just print money like it's going out of style. If we did, we'd end up with piles of cash that aren't worth the paper they're printed on. History has shown us this time and time again. So instead of dreaming about endless piles of cash, let's appreciate the value of the money we have, manage our finances wisely, and maybe, just maybe, support creators who talk about this kind of stuff. It makes us both happy and keeps you informed. If you enjoyed learning this with a laugh, subscribe to the channel. We've got way more finance, psychology, and weird stuff coming your way. Remember, you don't need more money. You need a better money mindset.